So if anybody wants to know what book I have, there's a book command, but it's called This is a Book by Demetri Martin, who's a stand-up comedian. The first passage that I'm gonna read is called Bee Sting. And it takes on the perspective of different animals and humans at a park. And we'll see how it goes, guys. Are you ready? Bee Sting. From the perspective of Maureen. I was in the park, having a picnic with some friends. All of a sudden, a bee started to circle around my head. Then the bee attacked me. I calmly attempted to shoo it away, but it would not leave me alone. Then it became even more aggressive. I then tried to move away, but the agitated bee followed me. Hoping to stop its assault, I attempted to gently swat it away with a magazine. I missed, and sure enough, the bee stung me. I'd never been stung by a bee before. It hurt, but I did my best to grin and bear it. I put some ointment on the bee sting, and after that I felt fine. From the perspective of Brenda, Maureen's friend. I was on my phone when Maureen got stung by the bee. I felt bad for her, but I think she overreacted a little bit if you ask me, especially when she started to scream and wildly swing her arms around. It was really pretty embarrassing. From the perspective of the bee. I was in the middle of another busy workday, flying my usual route. I was on my way back to the hive, minding my own business, when an enormous, fleshy monster began to scream. And then it spastically lunged at me. At first, I thought I might have flown into the middle of a medical emergency or some sort of tribal dance that the monster was performing. But then it quickly became clear that the monster was trying to kill me. I turned around and started to fly away, but the monster became even more enraged and began to chase me. I could not escape it. I flew faster, but the wailing beast pursued me and kept swinging its rolled-up paper weapon at me. As much as I didn't want to, I had no choice but to sting the monster. It was the only thing I could do to stop it from following me home and threatening the well-being of the hive, or worse, the safety of my family. I hoped that if I stung the monster, I could thwart its assault enough to save my kids. I knew that I would die soon after administering the sting, but I really had no other option. What a tragedy it is to be forced by a senseless, hysterical beast to take one's own life. From the perspective of the magazine. I'm not sure what happened. I was being held and slowly read by some woman when all of a sudden she rolled me up and started to choke me and violently whip me around. After having my face smashed into the arm of a lawn chair a couple of times, and then into the surface of a picnic table, I was tossed to the ground. It was a terrible and demeaning experience that I'll never forget. My guy's not moving a lot because I was holding up the book in front of my face. From the perspective of the lawn chair. I don't know what his problem was, but the magazine I was hanging out with abruptly got up and smacked me twice for no reason. From the perspective of Brenda's phone. Brenda was talking into me when the incident happened. I didn't get to see or hear anything because Brenda is such a loud and obnoxious phone talker. Whenever she uses me, it's like I'm cut off from the world. If I had enough power in my lithium battery to electrocute her face, I would. Seriously. I would do it. She is that annoying. From the perspective of the lithium battery, I second that. From the perspective of the ointment. I'm effective at temporarily relieving pain and itching associated with insect bites. Minor burns, sunburn, minor skin irritations, scrapes, and rashes due to poison ivy, poison oak, and poison sumac. From the perspective of the squirrel in a nearby tree. I'm still too upset to talk about what happened. I was good friends with Chris. I can't believe what the woman did to him. He was a hard-working, God-fearing bee who had a family and a good job. What that woman had against him, I'll never know. To tell you the truth, I don't think she even knew. I'm going to find out where she lives, go to her yard, and act crazy on her fence. From the perspective of the tree, no comment. Lastly, from the perspective of God, forcing a bee to commit suicide is one of my biggest pet peeves. This is not good for this Maureen person. And that's the end of Bee Sting, guys. Alright, guys, I'm gonna read the next one. It's about 4 pages. It's called Who I Am. For anybody who just came in, if you want to know what book I'm reading, there's a book command. Feel free to use it. Here we go, guys. Who I am. Who am I? That is a simple question, yet it is one without a simple answer. I am many things, and I am one thing. But I am not a thing that is just lying around somewhere like a marker or a toaster or a housewife. That is for sure. I am much more than that. I am a living, breathing thing. A thing that can mark with a marker, and toast with a toaster, and house with a housewife. And still, I am much more. I am a man. I am also a former baby and a future skeleton. And I am a distant future pile of dust. And I am also a Gemini, who is on the cusp. Taurus cusp. I am brother, and I am son, and I am father. But just according to one person who does not have any proof, but still won't seem to let it go. Either way, I am moving very soon and not letting her know about it. I am asking you to keep that between us. I am trustworthy and I am loyal, but at the same time, I am no Boy Scout. No, I am certainly not. I am quite the opposite. In fact, and by opposite, I do not mean Girl Scout, no. I mean Man Scout. And by that, I do not mean Scout Leader. In fact, I'm not affiliated with the Scouts at all. You know what? Let's just forget about the Scouts and scouting altogether, okay? I am concepts and thoughts, and feelings and outfits. And I am each of these all at once. Unless I am in the shower, then I am not outfits, because that would be uncomfortable. To some I am known as Chief, and these are usually people who work at Radio Shack, who try to sell me shoes in the mall. To others I am known as Buddy. These are people who dwell in bars and wonder if I've got a problem, or what it is that I am looking at. And still, to others, who are in that same bar, standing just off to the side, I am... Get him! I am he, and I am him. I am this, and I am that. And I am, from time to time, Roberta. But I'm not going to get into that right now. People have known me by many titles. In high school, I was student, and key club vice president, and queer bait. In college, I was pledge, and then disappointed, and then transfer student after that. And now I am still amazed at how picky certain so-called brotherly organizations can be. And I am actually glad that they didn't pick me for their stupid fraternity. I am. To some I am Myth, and to others I am Milt. Mostly because I have told them that this is my name, even though it is not even close to my name. I am a mystery wrapped in an enigma, wrapped in PETA. Why the PETA? That counts as a whole other mystery. I am everything, and I am nothing. I'm just kidding. I'm not everything and nothing. That would be ridiculous. I'm just everything. I am what I eat, and I am this especially when I bite my nails. I've been called many things like, hey you, and get out of the way, and look out, and then sometime later, plaintiff. I'm my own worst critic. I'm going to give you an example now. I'm not being me enough, is the kind of thing I am prone to say. See what I mean? I'm sure you do. I am the silent majority. I am a loud minority. I'm not talking about Puerto Ricans when I say that, because I'm not a racist. I'm just clearing that up. And, by the way, I am someone who has Puerto Rican friends. In fact, I am pretty sure I have at least one friend from each of the races. Hi, Diao Ming. I am friend, I am foe. I am faux show. What up, y'all? I'm sorry about that. I was just talking to one of my race friends, a black one. I am white and I am black. And I am both of these when I am dressed as a mime. And then I am... Shh. I am Batman, but only on Halloween. And then I am not invited to many parties. And I am fine with that. Because that just makes me an even more accurate Batman. Because Batman does not go to parties as Batman, but only as Bruce Wayne. I am right about this. I am someone who likes to go to the park. But I'm not the guy with the Labrador Retriever and the tennis ball and the tattered book under his arm. who's wearing fleece and is kind of tan. No, I'm not that guy. I am sick of that guy and all of the women who talk to him. I am the walrus, but not the one you've probably been thinking of. I am the other walrus, the one who is less the walrus in the sense of legendary music and more the walrus in the sense of his tendency to lie around in places for too long. I am bravery, I am courage, I am valor, I am daring. I am holding a thesaurus. I am the sun, I am the moon, I am the rain, I am the earth. I am these things when I'm taking mushrooms with Kevin. I'm good friends with Kevin. I'm not sure what Kevin's last name is. I'm sometimes referred to as an "excuse me" in an annoyed tone of voice, because apparently I am in the way. I am so sorry. I'm supposed to be some sort of mind reader, I guess. I'm moving out of the way now as slowly as I possibly can. I'm doing this and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm often the one they call you, but I am no more you than you. I am me, and yet I am more me than you are me, or can ever be. I am confused. I am neither here nor there, but there! A little to the left, yeah, that's me. I am waving at you. I'm waving right now at you. I'm looking right at you. I am wondering why you are not waving back. I am starting to feel awkward. I am going to leave now. The end. So that was Who Am I? Alright, our next one is Frustrating Uses of Etc. It's 2 pages and it has a lot of little short sentences for frustrating times that it would be to use the term etc. Let's begin. I'm looking forward to our date. Why don't you pick me up at my parents' house? Here's how you get there. Take Route 95 north after you go through the second toll, get into the left lane, etc. Honey, I don't quite know how to tell you this, but while you were away, I got a little drunk with my ex, Bob, and his friend Tyrone. Then we started to play wrestle, etc. I, Frank, take you, Marianne, to be my lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold, etc. If you ever want to see your son alive again, then do exactly as I say. First, you are to meet me behind the abandoned shopping mall, alone at midnight. Bring a briefcase, etc. Dear Admissions Committee, I'm writing this recommendation for Lewis Miller. Lewis has been a student in my English class, etc. Sincerely, Evelyn Sprague, English teacher. I just got off the phone with my colleague, Dr. Ryan. I'm afraid the test results are not as good as we had hoped. In your abdomen, we found something, etc. How many women have I slept with? Well, sweetie, there was Beth, Danielle, Lindsay, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, we need you to get back to your seats and fasten your seatbelts immediately. There appears to be a serious mechanical failure with one of our wings, etc. Alright guys, that one was etc. Pretty short and sweet. Our next one is called My Checks. And it says, what I imagine my dolphin-themed personal checks do for me. So this is all in his head, the way he imagines his dolphin checks will affect people. Here we go, guys. My checks. First scenario. 2 landlords are reviewing my rental application. So, who should we rent the apartment to? I'm not sure. This woman has excellent credit, a stable job, great references, and she is willing to pay an extra month's rent up front. She sounds great! She's also an interior designer and has some excellent ideas on how to improve the space. Wow! But, on the other hand, there's this guy. He doesn't have a steady job. He's got lousy credit, and his application looks pretty messy. I think there's a food state on it. But, take a look at his personal checks. They have dolphins on them. Look at these dolphins! They're so friendly and likable. Let me see that check. Wow, this is great! I love his dolphin-themed personal checks. They just have so much personality. They really do. I think his checks say a lot about him. I think so too. I'd say, based on his checks, he is clearly the more likable candidate. Yep, especially when you compare his checks to hers. Let me see her checks. Yikes, hers are just the standard issue yellow checks. So unimaginative and impersonal. I don't think I want someone like that living in the apartment. Well, I definitely don't want someone cold like that in our place. I want a tenant who's got some heart, like the dolphin guy. It's really no contest. I agree, dolphin guy wins. Hey, do you think we should maybe also give him a break on the rent? Looks at the dolphin checks again, smiles and nods. Definitely. Next scenario. A guy I paid with a check is talking to his friend. You know, I was gonna cash this guy's check, but I don't want to. Why? Because I really like looking at the check. Let me see that. Dolphins! Wow, that is really cool. Yeah. That check is indeed very nice to look at. The dolphins are very appealing. The whole scene is warm and friendly. I know. I was thinking that I might not cash it. I can see why. I don't blame you. I mean, looking at the check is almost worth more than cashing it if you ask me. Yeah, you're right. I'm going to put it up on my corkboard and never cash it. I think any guy who likes dolphins so much that he's willing to express it in his business transactions can just keep the money as far as I'm concerned. I was going to say the same thing. Good decision. Thanks. I feel good about it. Next scenario. I'm talking to a woman just after getting into a minor car accident with her. Again, I'm so sorry for the damage to your car. Can I write you a check to cover it? I think I should call my insurance company. Are you sure? I've got my checkbook right here. I take out my checkbook and open to a blank dolphin-themed check. Tell you what, why don't I write you a check, and if the damages end up costing more than... Wait, she looks at the check. Are those dolphins on your checks? Yes. Yes, they are. Aww, that is so cute. You know, I love dolphins. She smiles. I was once stranded in the middle of the ocean and a pack of dolphins that looked just like those saved my life. Wow, really? Yeah. You seem like a sweet guy. Well, thank you. I like these checks because they remind me that it's important to live life with grace and enthusiasm. Kind of like a dolphin, I guess. She looks at me and smiles. Hey, how about we forget about the whole car situation and you just take me to lunch instead? Really? Yes, really. I would love to have lunch with you. Okay, I think that would be nice. But wait, weren't you on your way to work? Oh, I was, but it's no big deal. I'm a model. They can just reschedule the photo shoot. Well then, great, let's get some lunch. Also, I know this is a little forward, but do you mind if I kiss you? Not at all. And that's the end of checks. Alright guys, our next one is 3 pages. And it's called A Picture. 1,000 words. 4 by 6 inches. Glossy. A lake. Me. Summer. I am on water skis behind a boat. I am holding onto a line as the boat pulls me. I am moving fast. I am wearing a red bathing suit and an orange life preserver. I am smiling. I am feeling happy and confident. I'm looking cool. And I'm going really fast. Nice breeze. The wind is blowing through my hair. White water is spraying out behind me and off to the sides. I look awesome. This could be a postcard. The sunshine, the pine trees, the mountains, and me ripping it up on the water skis in the middle of it all. I'm on a camping trip with a bunch of my friends. Some of them are in the boat. Others are watching from the dock. I can even feel the strangers on the beach watching me. Who's the man? Right now, that would be me. This is my moment. I'm happy this photo is being taken, because it is an official record of this moment. It's not like I'd forget a moment as cool as this, but it's nice to have an official document of it. Man, I cannot wait to see this photo. And I'm glad I chose to wear my sunglasses. They make me look even cooler. And to think I was reluctant to try water skiing. Huh. Life sure is ironic sometimes. I just didn't want to do it because I was afraid of falling. But then Janice, who just had a baby, tried it. After that, I would have been the only one who didn't do it, so I decided to go for it. I mean, I didn't want to be that guy. I'm happy my friends talked me into doing this. I'll have to thank Ed later. Definitely. This is going very well, especially as I'm trying to impress Julie, which I'd say is working right now. I bet I hook up with her tonight. The great thing about meeting someone on a camping trip is that she doesn't have any preconceived notions about you. You get to present the best version of yourself, which is the one she wants to hook up with. And that version is the guy who was funny when we were pitching our tents, and then was kind of aloof and mysterious when we were looking for firewood, and is now cool and confident on water skis. I wisely didn't complain about my allergies or mention my fear of snakes at all. All this is flashing through my head as I smile for the camera. The look on my face says that I'm not worried about anything. Water skiing is easier than I thought it would be. Why didn't I try this earlier? I'm posing for the camera. I'm waving with one hand. This is one of the coolest moments of my life. No question about that. I'm looking right into the lens of the camera, which is why I don't see the oncoming wake, where I probably should be looking. This turns out to be the last moment just before I hit that wake. Now that I look at myself, I remember exactly what happened. A moment later, my body spins completely out of control. I'm struggling, desperately trying to maintain my balance. The boat swerves. Is Ed turning the boat? He is! Are you kidding me? Then everything starts to go into slow motion. I am wiping out. There is no saving it now. I am falling badly. The wipeout feels almost like it is punishing me for trying to avoid it. I go down, face first. My mouth is open. In fact, it couldn't be more open. I feel several 100 gallons of lake water go into my mouth. Water goes into my eyes, nose, ears, butt, every possible body hole. I continue to get dragged by the boat because for some reason, I'm still holding onto the line. Finally, I let go. I'm still moving forward though. My waterlogged body comes to a stop. I float there. I am disoriented. Angry. I knew this was a bad idea. Why did they make me do this? Then I discovered that I am missing my bathing suit. Everyone is laughing, but I am not laughing. I'm the only one not laughing. Now I am trying to somehow still look cool. My sunglasses are gone. They left a nice cut in my forehead though. I'm searching for my bathing suit. When did it come off? Where the hell is it? There it is. I grab it. I'm putting it back on in the lake. I'm getting out of the water. Now I notice that my bathing suit is on backwards. Great. My so-called friends are laughing even more at me. These people suck. I'm trying to be a good sport about this, but I am complaining, and I am blaming Ed. I yell at him and tell him he did this on purpose. Ed just couldn't stand to see me actually getting the attention for once. I tell him this. Everyone stops laughing. Then I stop accusing him because I can see people are now looking at me like I'm the jerk. I go shower off. And that's where I end up finding some things on my legs. Leeches? Are you kidding me? Leeches? Nobody said anything about leeches in the lake. I am cursing as I pull leeches off my legs. That's when I see a snake. I run and scream. Julie is there, sitting with Ed. I hear her say to him, "He's just mad that he made an ass of himself and he's taking it out on you. What a creep. Don't worry about it, Ed." Ed and Julie hook up that night. I end up with a rash and some sort of sinus infection. I'm going to rip up this picture now. Alright guys, that was a picture 1,000 words. I think the passage itself was supposed to be 1,000 words in total. I think that's where the joke comes out of it and all the funness of it. And that's why some of the sentences were only one word, like definitely. But yeah. Alright, here we go guys. Next story. My powers. Before you even think of coming near me, I should warn you that I have powers. And not just ordinary powers, I have superpowers. I may appear to be average, but I can assure you I am anything but. For starters, I can see the future, both during and after it's happened. I can also hold my breath for hours at a time in my hands, and speaking of my hands, they are lethal weapons. They are so lethal that I often keep them tied to my sides, lest I accidentally kill myself with them. I can leap over the edge of tall buildings in a single bound, and I sometimes imagine doing it when I feel kind of depressed. But even though I know I can, I don't. 5 times so far. One of my greatest strengths is strength. I can crush an ice cream cone on my forehead like it's a soda can, and then I can patiently wait for the ice cream to drip down into the lickable area on my face and never even get a napkin. In a fire, I am extra flammable, which I am likely to use to my advantage. I can speed read, especially anything printed on a t-shirt with large breasts beneath it. I am a keen observer of human behavior, often from a perch, or from behind some bushes. And when it comes to emotions, I can switch from crying to laughing in a matter of weeks. I can shoot lasers out of my fingers, though I prefer not to because it requires a lot of setup time. And I can keep a secret better than, don't you wish you knew? When it's very windy, I don't complain. And when there is also rain mixed with the wind, I complain very little. But if I'm in a bad mood, you'll know it, because I can sulk so powerfully that it makes everyone who is anywhere near me kind of annoyed. I'm a fierce competitor. During board games, I destroy my enemies completely, or argue with them until they don't want to play anymore. If you come at me in the wild, be warned. You will be outmatched. I have been known to communicate with animals who have twice my intelligence, and then really agitate them. I can make any doctor go crazy just by asking him a series of basically identical questions, each with slightly different wording, about the thing on my back. Dentists fear me, because while they are focusing on my teeth, I am focusing on their crotch. I can kill someone's cat with a yo-yo, and probably on purpose too. I am versatile, and I can work with or without a sidekick. I can even work against the sidekick. Villains fear me because I am unpredictable. And broccoli. See what I mean? My weaknesses are few. I am sometimes too strong, like when I'm hugging a loud child or shaking the hand of an ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend. I've been told that I don't know my own strength by more than one arts and crafts teacher. My only real weakness is lava, and that's only before it cools. Also, I have some severe food allergies. I am helpful and I am honest. If I see an old lady trying to cross the street, I will tell her she is old. I very rarely steal anything, and if I do, it's only because I know I could probably find a use for it eventually. I can run fast. How fast? Why don't you ask again, and raise your voice this time? Because now, I'm way over here. My vision is impeccable. I can see through the clothes of anyone who is wearing something white, who I've just sprayed with water. I have a strong sense of justice, especially when someone tries to cut in front of me in line, or break up with me. When it comes to hearing, mine is legendary. I can become self-conscious about what 2 people are saying about me from the other side of a party. And when I can't hear, I read their lips, or go over and ask them what they were saying. I'm immune to poison, unless I ingest it. But even then, I put up a pretty impressive fight. Also, my swimming has been described as very disturbing. And if we're eating potato chips, good luck keeping up with me. Finally, I am a bleeder. So if you still think you want to fight me, why don't you consider the mess you're going to make? That's what I thought. And that's the end of my powers. They have one here called Megaphone. I don't remember how entertaining Megaphone is, but it might be good. So I'm going to read Megaphone from This Is a Book. Are you ready, guys? Here we go. They say your greatest strength is also your greatest weakness. I think this is true. For me, it would definitely be my megaphone. It all started when I got the megaphone. It was a gift from my friend Doug. I remember the moment clearly. Doug and I were standing in his garage looking for his turtle when I noticed the megaphone just sitting there quietly. I asked Doug if I could have it. He said sure. Then he picked it up and handed it to me. That moment would change my life forever. I took to the megaphone right away. Right after Doug handed it to me, the first word I said through it was, "Thank!" And then, Right after that, you! But I really let it ring out like, you! Doug didn't seem that thrilled with me. I think that's a common sort of reaction when someone gives something away and then realizes how great the thing they just gave away was. It was right after I tried out the siren function that Doug really started to seem irritated about his decision to give away that great megaphone. I didn't want to make the situation any worse, so I just said, hello? Through the megaphone and made a face that said, this thing isn't really that great. I think that helped, because Doug stopped shaking his head and cursing at me. At first, everything with the megaphone was great. It came in really handy in the obvious situations. I would be meeting a friend somewhere and I'd use it to call out to him so that he could find me in a crowd. Or I'd use the megaphone to get someone to move out of my way on the sidewalk or in line at the pharmacy. I've always hated boring street performers. Thanks to the megaphone, I finally had a real outlet to express that. And you know, I never really knew what thinking out loud meant until I did it through the megaphone. It made my thinking way more out loud, and more outlandish too. Like a lot of people, I've always enjoyed commenting on strangers' outfits. Unlike a lot of people, I now had a new megaphone to do it with. And let me tell you, commenting on people's hilarious clothing choices through a megaphone makes it so much better. With the megaphone, I also started to get noticed a lot more by women, especially whenever I tried to guess their name or bra size as they walked by. One thing you learn pretty quickly with a megaphone is that it's hard not to say, step right up through it. For me, that proved to be most problematic at carnivals and soup kitchens. I discovered that if there's one thing carnies and soupies have in common, it's that they do not like to step right up, and then find that there's nothing there besides a guy with a megaphone. One thing I learned to do was to get that megaphone away from my face pretty quickly after saying my thing through it, because people love nothing more than to push a megaphone straight into the mouth of its master. And in case you didn't know, that equals big trouble for your teeth. A good trick is to have a backup megaphone. That way, when someone takes or smashes your first one, you have another one right there ready to go, ideally cranked to full volume for when you give them the old nice try through it. After a while, I entered what I call my do-gooder phase with my megaphone. If I saw a fire, I would make alarm sounds through the megaphone to alert people to get out of there. This would irritate the firefighters and sometimes make them aggressive. But this was never a problem as long as I ran away before the fire was over, while the firefighters were still busy being heroes. If I heard the police talking through one of their megaphones, I would join in and add little endings to what they said. If they said pull over to a driver, I might add, he means it, or comprende if the person looked kind of Spanish. The megaphone proved to be a great way to help blind people too. I'd sometimes shout helpful directions through the megaphone to guide a blindie if I saw one. Sometimes I could even make it into a little game for myself and narrate what the person was doing. There he goes. It looks like he's headed towards the curb now. Oh, he's feeling it out and up he goes! This guy has hardly bumped into anything so far. You learn a lot when you have a megaphone. You learn that children's ears are more sensitive than adults, and that the parents of those children can have really short fuses. You also learn that it's hard to take back things that you've said through a megaphone and that it's not the best way to break up with somebody. Is it easier to meet women with a megaphone? Yes. Does that mean that you should use that megaphone when you sleep with one of them? No, absolutely not, no matter how right it may feel at the time. As I got more into the megaphone, I found that certain people really seemed to have a hard time with it, including friends, family, acquaintances, strangers, and most other people too. It showed me just how jealous people can become when someone finally finds his calling. But I guess that's people for you. As I learned and experimented more, I started to get really good with the megaphone. I could whisper through it and make it sound like a normal speaking voice. As I mixed my whisper with the phone's mega mechanism, the more I used the megaphone, the better I became at using it. My creativity blossomed, and eventually I became what some might call a megaphone artist. I was able to use words like wistful and aplomb through the megaphone without sounding too weird. Sometimes I would just turn on the megaphone and let it capture my breathing, which for some reason really pissed people off. But, as skilled as I had become, I was beginning to rely on the megaphone too much. I carried it with me all the time. Whenever I felt awkward, I would reach for my megaphone and just say whatever came to mind, like do, or ta, or do, or heads up. My worst moment was probably the time I got drunk with the Megaphone. If you thought I was talky regularly, you should see me with 2 or 12 shots of tequila in me. Needless to say, that night I ended up in the hospital. The doctor said that the Megaphone probably saved my life. Apparently, if I hadn't fallen asleep with the Megaphone on my mouth, I would have puked into my mouth instead of into the Megaphone. And that could have been fatal. Even though I was okay, that experience was a real wake-up call for me. It was clear that I had a problem. Plus, my Megaphone smelled terrible. I decided it was time to give up the Megaphone, and I quit megaphoning cold turkey. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. Immediately, I could feel how badly I needed something to fill the void. I found myself using anything I could as a Megaphone. Rolled up paper, my hands, pancakes. I even tried talking into a bag, but that proved to be dangerous, especially during some of my longer rants. I was lost. Then, one day, while I was shouting through a parking cone that I found on Doug's newly paved driveway, I had a revelation. Who am I kidding? I thought out loud to myself. These other objects I'm talking through are really just megaphones in disguise. I mean, even my own mouth is just a little megaphone, right? Life is too short and I have too much to say, and Then Doug kind of charged at me and ripped the cone out of my hands and asked me to get off his driveway. That's when I knew what I had to do. I got up and headed straight for the hardware store, where I bought a brand new Megaphone. The very one you have been hearing me speak through tonight, ladies and gentlemen. When I got that new Megaphone, I put it up to my mouth, and I have never looked back since. Although I've certainly heard back, if you know what I mean. Thank you for listening. God bless and good night. So I'm guessing he did this during one of his stand-up comedies, since the ending is phrased that way. But that's the end of Megaphone. Oh, there's one that's called Pets. But Pets is a very good one, but it's also very dialogue heavy. But I'll give it a shot because I think you guys will enjoy it. Okay guys, ready? I will now read to you Pets, a Conversation. Here is the subscript, I suppose. I had a conversation with an alien from outer space. I don't remember much of it. I was on a camping trip with my friends and I couldn't sleep, so I went for a walk. I started to wander through the woods, and that's all I really remember. At some point I must have sat on my phone and accidentally called my friend's phone, because part of my conversation ended up in his voicemail as a very long message. And here goes our message, guys. Me. And that's where babies come from. Alien. I see. Me. I still can't believe I'm talking to a real live alien. Wow, can I take your picture? Alien. No, calm down. Drink this. Drinking sounds. Me. I feel weird. What did I just drink? Alien. I have another question. Me. Okay. Alien. What are pets? Me. Pets! Oh, that's easy. A pet is an animal that a person has. Alien. Why? Me. What? Alien. Why does the person have the animal? Me. Well, because they want to have a friend that's an animal. Alien. I see. So the person and the animal are friends. Me. Yeah. Alien. Does the animal then also have the person? Me. No. The animal is the pet, so the person has the animal, you know, as a pet. That's what makes it a pet. So where are you from anyway? Alien. That is not important. Me. This is awesome. Can I take your picture? Alien. No. Calm down. Drink this. Drinking sounds. Me. I feel weird. What did I just drink? Alien. Now, do animals have pets? Me. No. Alien. So only humans have other animals. Can these pets come and go as they please? Me. No, they can't. Alien. Why not? Me. Because then they would get away. Alien. So a pet is a prisoner. Me. Well, no, not exactly. Alien. Ah, it's a hostage then? Me. Well, I guess technically you could say that, but the pet isn't captured. Well, it can be, but I mean, it depends on the type of pet, so I don't know if you could really call it a hostage. Alien. Well, does the pet have a choice? Me. No, not really. Alien. That's a hostage. Me, I think it's different because... Alien, can the pet eat whenever it wants? Me, no. Alien, that sounds a lot like a hostage to me. Me, ... Alien, when does the pet eat? Me, that's up to the owner. Alien, owner? Me, yeah, the person is the owner of the pet. Alien, I thought they were friends. Me, they are. They're friends, but one of them owns the other one and feeds him and trains him to go to the bathroom at certain times and to behave certain ways. Alien, Me, also, the owner can make the pet cuddle with him whenever he wants and will sometimes dress up the pet, like on Halloween. Alien, I see. What is Halloween? Me, wow, this is crazy. I can't believe I'm talking to an alien. Can I take your picture? Alien, no, calm down, drink more of this. Me, I don't really want to. Alien, drink this. Me, okay. Drinking sounds. Alien. Now, what is Halloween? And that is how it ends, guys. We don't get to figure out how he describes Halloween, unfortunately. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chatting.